Okay, 3 races at Kempton on ITV4. The first in the 205 is the 32 Red Casino Chase, and it features some old favourites. Take us through the betting, Frank.
Yeah, Waiting Patiently is 7-4, God's Own 5-2, Smad Place 4-1, Joss's Hill 5-1, and we're 16-1 bar.
Okay, 6 runners, a lot of them very exposed, a lot of them very popular. Who's going to cross the line in front, Graham Rodway?
I thought this race was all about pricing. I hadn't seen the price until Frank just read them out.
They've only been betting all week, Rodders.
Yeah. Good to see you've been burning the midnight oil there in preparation for this broadcast.
At the price, I'll back Waiting Patiently at 7-4. I mean, really? I think this horse has got Grade 1 potential. Absolutely so impressive all season. I mean, bolted up at Carlisle, comes here off a 65-day break, but I know Malcolm Jefferson often has these sorts of horses that rack up sequences up north and come down south and get beat. But I think this one might be different. I mean,
what were you expecting the price to be then when Frank...
Well, I thought Waiting Patiently was going to be short. I was thinking 5-4 Waiting Patiently, and I was thinking around 7-2 God's Own, in which case I would have been a God's Own backer because he's got obvious chance at the weights. I mean, he's the best horse in the race, and he's getting weight from virtually everything in the race. Well, everything in the race. But at 5-2, 7-4, I'd much rather back the horse with the potential and Waiting Patiently.
Okay. Waiting Patiently for G-Rod. Kills, you've got...
I just thought you made a better case for God's Own than you made for Waiting Patiently yourself. I mean,
well, I knew you were going to tip God's Own.
Official ratings are 163 God's Own and 156 Waiting Patiently. Waiting Patiently is given £4. His favourite, I do like Waiting Patiently. He's a lovely horse and he jumps really well. And he won doing handstands at Carlisle last time, although he was probably entitled to be honest. I mean, this is his real big test, and he's coming down south from, and against some decent horses. Joss's Hill loves it round here. He was second in the Tolworth Hurdle when it was here. He's won this race once before, and he absolutely thrashed God's Own that day. There were some good horses here. Smad Place as well. I mean, Smad Place has run some cracking races round here, and obviously looked very good when he won first time out this season. So I think it's tight. I think it's a real stiff question for Waiting Patiently, and I'd want more than 7-4. I'd say God's Own if he's back to anywhere near his best, and he sometimes doesn't run that well early in the season. I would say he's definitely the one to beat.
Frank, it's an interesting old race, isn't it? What's your view of it?
Yeah, Waiting Patiently is one that's been on my radar now for a while. I'd probably take him tomorrow. I think until we get him beaten, I think he's one to follow. I can see the case for God's Own getting the weight. It's just last year he never really hit the heights of the previous year. Like, he didn't win it all last year, and like even when you thought like he might produce it at Aintree or Punchestown, he just was like maybe £5 lower than the year before, and now he's 10. Like, he's probably not going to improve. I think he might just be worth taking on. This Waiting Patiently, like, he's won his 4 races over fences pretty convincingly. Like, he beat Politolog, now admittedly over 2 miles forward, Haydock in a Grade 2 last year. Politolog probably didn't see it out, but even on his reappearance at Carlisle, he was very impressive. He beat a horse, Bellamy de Picton, who's rated 148. I think he gave that £6, beat it 2.5 lengths. Third Bay Wings rated 144. That was another 30 lengths back. And the fourth, I Just Know, won that I don't know, West Yorkshire National or something at Catterick yesterday off a mark of 131. So it wasn't a dog race. It was a pretty decent race, and he won it without coming off the bridle recently. Really, I just think he's a young horse on the up, and he has potential to be anything. And until he gets beaten, I'm going to follow him anyway, and I'm going to back him tomorrow.
Okay, the 240, another real head scratcher for punters. 32 Red Lanzarote Handicap Hurdle, 5-1 the field. Frank, take it away, and then we'll stick with you for your verdict.
Yeah, River Frost is 5-1. William Henry, Desi the Beef are 6-1. Top of the game, 8-1. Bags Groove and La Patriot 9-1. Red Indian, Corblimey 10-1. Spirit of the Games 12-1, and we're 16-1 bar. I would be pretty keen on the chances of the favourite here, River Frost. I know it's not original, but he's 2 from 2 at Kempton. He only got £3 for his run the Silver Trophy at Chepstow back in October. Now, this race couldn't have worked out much better. The second Sam Spinner won what used to be the fixed bus hurdle at Haydock, the long walk at Ascot. The third Peak to Peak hasn't run. The fourth Holstone won the Relkeel. The sixth Louis Van Pouch won an Aintree handicap. The seventh Old Guard placed in the Greatwood and won a Newbury handicap. The 8 Bags Grove has won 2 handicaps with Aintree and Kempton. The 10th Drumcliff won a beginner's chase. The 11th La Rochère has won 2 chases. And the 12th Milrow was second owing to Thomas Campbell in a handicap at Chepstow. The race is probably the hottest handicap run all year. And that River Frost was bang in the middle and beating a few lengths. And he's only £3 higher in 5th that day. I think he's got a massive chance and I think he'd be tough enough to beat. Now, I will give it one mention. I'll have a little saver on one as well at a big price. Nick Williams, I was looking, maybe I'm wrong, but I could only find that he's had 3 runners in this race in the last 10 years, and all 3 have won. And he runs Denty to me here, with Lizzie Kelly claiming 3 off. The form, you'd say it has plenty to find, but it was only beaten 7 lengths by Maria's Benefit on its debut over hurdles early on in the season. It's won a Taunton maiden hurdle, and in its handicap debut last time at Ludlow, it was just touched off, but really was the moral winner. Now it's up £11. He ran off 114 that day, and it's up to 125, and this is a far better race. But just because of the record of Nick Williams in this, I'll have a few quid saver each way on that. But it's, I think River Frost will be very difficult to beat.
Chaps, you're going to have a job to make a more resounding case for a horse in this race than Frank just did, but you can have a go, Kills.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm equally as strong as this. Just after Christmas, all the tipsters at the Post were asked to give their opinion on what horse to take out of all the Christmas meetings. And the one I came up with was D's to BF, and I actually wrote it'll be a good thing for the Lanzarote on his way to the Martin Pipe or the Coral Cup. He finished second over Christmas to If the Cap Fits. He was beaten 5 lengths, but that was 2 miles, and he just got badly outpaced as they were coming around the bend. Went from 3rd back to 6th, and then he came right back through. A jockey got after him. He's not a slow horse. He was actually just about as fast as If the Cap Fits from 2 out to the line. He was just that far behind him in the first place, but he went away from everything else. Everything about his pedigree suggests he wants this trip. He wants to go up. He's lightly raced. The trainer has booked Mitchell Bastian to take £5 off his back.
Always good news, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take the extra one, and that means that River Frost has got to give him £15. And this is a young horse that is almost certain to improve big time for the trip. And I think River Frost would do well to give him £15. I think any of those at the top of the weights would do well to give him that much weight. And I'm a massive fan of him. We've got an unknown quantity who got smashed up earlier in the week called Le Patriote of Richard Newlands. No idea how good that is because it's all French form. But he was one of the outsiders to start with, and he was favourite on Thursday morning. He's drifting out a little bit now, but he's obviously an interesting runner. But for me, it's all about D's WF.
I'm not mad on these horses coming over from France and parachuting straight into a race like this, by the way.
Well, it depends because because the handicapper just takes a guess.
Well,
and
exactly.
They can get it wrong.
But also, British and Irish punters don't have a clue what it all means. I just think it's very difficult. And if that comes and wins, then fair play to Connections. It's great placing. They've obviously done nothing wrong. But
David Pipe's done it a few times, hasn't he? But I don't remember too many other trainers.
Right. Okay. G-Rod. 2 very hard acts to follow there. Frank was very, very sweet on the favourite River Frost, and then Kills with a fantastic comeback. Made a very strong case of D's to Beef. So it's up to you to try and see if you can shake punters away from that forecast.
Well, I do have a confession to make in that I backed D's to Beef for the Supreme Novices Hurdle before he ran at Kempton. I thought that he was one of the most impressive that I'd seen in the early season around the gaff tracks. He was just absolutely bolting up hard on the bridle, and I've just seen Nicky Anderson do this so many times with top class horses before, giving them the really sort of low key prep around Fontwell and places like that. He did it with My Tent or Yours. He ran that at Taunton, Darlan, similar types. And I thought, well, then he runs a good horse in that race at Kempton, where DCWF run. He won that race with Altior before. So I really fancied DCWF at Kempton. And the problem was that he ran like he was in desperate need of further, like Keel says. I mean, he came off the bridle turning from. He got caught behind about 4 or 5 horses, and the winner was gone. And he stayed on really strongly. I mean, he was further behind If the Cap Fits turning for home than he was at the line. He was beaten 5 lengths. He was closing on him all the way at the line. It was a massively eye-catching run. And as we said before, Henderson does then tend to step these novices up into handicap company. He might enter yours in the Betfair Hurdle, Darling Betfair Hurdle, and he's doing it here in the Lanzarote with decent BFs.
The winner of that Kempton race is just about second favourite, I think, for the Supreme Novices. He's right up there in the betting anyway.
I mean, I'm not sure he'd go for the Coral Cup at Cheltenham Fest. I could see him in the 2.5 mile graded race.
Well, you've done your money on Supreme because, as we all know, Frank, Western Rider wins that, doesn't it? Anyway. Anyway, are you tipping DC
and obviously Mitchell Baston claim 5. I mean, I think that is a massive player, DCWF. I think that'll win, but I just got to give 2 other quick mentions. I can't let a horse that's trained by Ollie Murphy first time out with the form that Wishful Dreaming used to have at his best go off at 20 odd to 1. I mean, that Ollie Murphy is just ridiculously good with horses first time up. He can really get them back to their best. Aidan Coleman's interesting booking, puts a tongue strap on that. I'll be backing Wishful Dreaming at a bigger price as well, but DCWF would be my win bet.
Okay, and the other race on the box at Kempton is the 3:15, the 32 red Handicap Chase, and this might be slightly, well, I say slightly easy. We've got an 11 to 10 favourite in Fountains Windfall, who's fallen on his last 2. Give us the rest of the prices, Frank.
Yeah, Ballyalton then a second favourite at 9 to 2. The Young Master and Ballycan 6 to 1. On Tour 7 to 1, and Morning Reggie is 16 to 1.
Talking of horses that were in my tracker and no longer are on tour, he's had the elbow, so he'll probably win this. Who do you reckon, G-Rod?
I think Fountains Windfall will win easily if he stands up. I mean, he was bounding round Kempton on Boxing Day. He was going so well. I think he would have won that race easily, and that was Grade 1. I mean, this is Handicap Chase. I know he's a novice. I know he's got to give weight, and he's coming off the back of 2 falls. But I don't think he's a bad jumper. I mean, he was jumping well up until that point. It just depends on whether you want to take a short price, also with a couple of F's by his name. But I wouldn't be backing against him, that's for sure. I think Fountains Windfall win.
Keels?
If he stands up and jumps clean, he's definitely the horse to beat. But if you're not taking on a horse that's fallen twice in a row, then there's something wrong with you. I thought he was, he was under pressure for his first fall at Newbury, but he was not under pressure at all at Kempton. That was just clumsy and stupid. It's possible. It's possible that he might do it again if that's the sort of horse he is. So you know what I mean. He's a free going type, so they tend to attack these fences fast. And they meet them wrong, they come down. So and he's That was a Grade 1, but it was a Grade 1 novice, and I don't think it was a very good one either. So now he's up against seasoned handicappers, most of whom can jump, although you can see a couple of U's in there. I've given up on tour as well. Ballycan has been 4th and 5th in what used to be the old Racing Post Chase, the Bet-Bright Chase it is now for the last 2 years. I think he likes it round there. I think he ran well enough on his latest start. And obviously Nigel Twiston-Davies in flying form, as we well know. I think he will take the beating if Fountains Windfall doesn't get round, but he might take the beating anyway, getting £12 for him. You've got to remember it's a handicap.
Righto, and Frank, what's your view?
Just as you were talking there, I actually watched the 2 falls of Fountains Windfall, and like the first one at Newbury, he's more crumpled on landing than hit the fence, and the second time he's clipped the top and again come down maybe a couple of strides after. I don't think he's a bad jumper. I think the pace of the race here as well, I looked, most of them are kind of hold-up type horses, and he could get a right freebie out in front. And I think if he does and settles, I think he'll be very hard to peg back. I think he's quite a useful novice, and he'll end up in the festivals in the spring. Like, you have to remember, like at Aintree, he turned a very competitive handicap into Procession off a mark of 137, and like that was probably a far stronger race than this. If he jumps, he'll win.
Read anti-post tips from Pricewise for the Cheltenham Festival when you subscribe to Members Club Ultimate.